All right, we are live by the looks of it. Sweetness. All right, all right, all right. Make sure. My secondary screen though decided to take a nap. Un momento. Get this going here. Splendid. There we go. Got my secondary screen up and going now too. What is going on, fishy folk? I missed y'all last week. Those of y'all filing here as we get this thing going. Perhaps a lot of y'all coming over from Stephen P. stream. Always a great show over there as well. Otherwise, what if you're watching the replay or just filing here now as we do this? My name, of course, is Austin, and this is Fantastic Freaks. Still ain't got that sign yet. I need to have a sign to just point at when I do these live streams. You see, but yes, at long last, back again. Sorry about missing last week. Was not feeling great at all. Absolutely hate about. Phone is still a little bit talking. Darn phone. You think you do all the steps here right before you stream, and then there's always that one thing you miss. Me, sometimes it's silencing the phone. But yes, last week was not feeling great at all. Had a cold that was really kicking me in the backside. Still lingering a little bit, but feel miles and miles better than I did this time a week ago. Last week, I could barely breathe. So, I mean, if I can talk, I can breathe. So, we're much better this week here and ready to talk about some shoaling puffers here, or maybe some of you that don't know the term shoaling, puffers that can live in groups. Of course, we all know some of the other puffers out there, like, say, a dragon puffer or an arrowhead puffer or a Fahaka puffer, of course, like my channel logo, that can, look awesome and all, but they're usually, not always, but usually more times than not, better off living by themselves. Well, as temperamental and or aggressive or territorial, whatever terms you want to use for puffers to describe them. The cool thing about puffers is there are some out there that, yeah, you can keep multiple of them in one tank, and that's what I want to talk about here in this live stream. Before we get to that, though, see, we already got some awesome folks here in the chat. Here, of course, we got the Metalheads, Aquatic Mayhem. I think I can do the metal voice a little bit better with a little bit of a scratchy throat yet. So that's one plus, I guess, right? Of course, the wife, Mrs. Freak here, also saying hello here, aka the wife here. So, yep, the missus is watching as well here. Hope you have a safe drive home there, dearest. And hope work was great as well. Oh, we got Pimpin' Shrimp driving and lurking here as we go along here on this Monday Musing stream. Appreciate y'all checking in here, Pimpin' Shrimp. Pimpin' and Shrimpin' on this Monday afternoon. Oh, yes. And speaking of awesome moderators, and the one right here, the Zen Ginger saying hello, Austin, and the missus. Thank you very much, Zender. Hello to you. Hope it's been a great one there. Zen Ginger, tell you what, that is a very busy gal right there. I mean, just was over at Stephen P's there. I know works with all sorts of channels there. Moderator for a lot of channels as well there. That is a very busy but awesome member of the Fish Fam. Appreciate all you do, Zen. Big Shrimpin'. And here, Big Shrimpin'. All right, what up, y'all? Giving the rock out sign there. So we got Pimpin' Shrimp and we got Big Shrimpin'. I feel like those at some point did a collab. If you guys did a collaboration, well, that video would have to be called Big Pimpin' Shrimpin' or something like that, right? But good to see you here, Big Shrimpin'. We also got the Legacy Explorer Aqua saying hello, Zenny, and to the Fish Fam. Hello to you, Legacy. Great to see you here. We got Sketty here also saying greetings to all. Greetings to you. Thank you for coming in here on this Monday afternoon here. Checking through the chat. We also got Only Oscar saying hi, everyone. Hello to you. Great to see you here. Did Melvin change his username? Legacy Explorer Aqua. Is that you, Melvin? Did you change your username, man? I must be behind or something on my current events here. I got to get updated here or something. And we got Crypt Keeper Aquatic saying, fantastic. What's up, Crypt? Good to see you here. Another awesome person that I've had the pleasure of saying that I've met face to face here. Aquashella Chicago there. Or, of course, being the event I'm talking about there. And yeah, Crypt, that's what I was just wondering. I was thinking that Maybe Melvin must have changed the username again because it looks familiar, but I don't want to make assumptions though either. Speaking of awesome members of the Fish Fam here a moment ago, Foxy's Fishy saying, hey, Austin, hello to you, Foxy. Great to see you here. Let's see here. Also go there. I will say this right now on Foxy's channel. I really love the shorts that she does, and especially it's been a hot minute because it's been I haven't been on YouTube a whole lot this past week here because, well, again, cold was kind of kicking me in the derriere. But I will say one thing, Foxy, that I really like about your shorts is your end quote there. Of course, as you guys know, I have Stay Fantastic. I really like hers because hers says, if it can't be a great day, make it one. I really like that. That's awesome. If it's not a great day, hey, find a way to make it one. I love that. We also got Paul McCarthy here saying hello. Hello to you, Paul. Great to see you here. A whole bunch of just awesome fish folk here saying hello. We got the Crown Tail Half Moon saying hello. Hello to you, Crown Tail. Frequent visitor here on the channel. Always great to see them here. Only Oscars. Pea puffers, though, I can promise you. We'll be talking about them here very shortly, as well as a few other ones on this list here. Or I got at least 5 here to talk about here. We can talk about more, because, of course, there's more than 5 puffers that can live in a shoal or a group. But we'll definitely be talking about pea puffers, because I think those are definitely one of the most well-known ones out there. So it'd be a crime if we didn't talk about them. Going through the chat here, I can see based on the 2 here that I have... I'm a little bit behind, but we'll catch up here. I apologize if I miss anybody here. Okay, so Legacy Explorer Aqua. That is Melvin. Okay, cool. Oh, I thought so, but I didn't want to say for sure. Killer Kitty 08 saying hi to everyone. Hello to you, Killer Kitty. One of the awesome members here on the channel. We got a lot of awesome members here on the channel. And if you, yes, you, are wondering how you can become a member on the channel here, all you got to do is click that join button. And whatever you give, it's equally as appreciated as any other level. And hey, if you want, when we do these live streams, or if you like, taking part of the chat here, or just listening and lurking in here, what that does there is, while we're in the live chat here, you can go ahead and use some emojis. We got all sorts of puffers in there, and the cool thing is, the more members we have, the more emojis I can offer to you guys. So all the more reason to have as many members as we can, right? So I can give you guys more stickers to play around with and just puffer bomb or sticker bomb me or whatever. Going through the chat. Yes. Yes, we got Whip's World here saying hi, you beautiful people. How you do, Whip? Another awesome member of the Fish Fam right there. Great to see you. We also got Silver Creek Aquatics in here saying howdy, howdy. We got My Fish Tanks Aquatics also saying hello. All sorts of awesome stuff here. And, of course, it wouldn't be a party without Peplin Creek Aquatics here. Got Foxy and Peplin both here. Awesome to see you both here, as well as everybody here. We got over 20 people watching right now. Awesome to see here. So cool. And here we go. Now it's officially a party because we got all 3 moderators here now. Liquid Zoo, OnlyFins, a.k.a. Mr. Matt himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Great to see you here, Matt. As always, another guy that's been supporting the channel for a long, long time. Greatly appreciate you, Matt. At Whip's World, I figured the Legacy made me think exactly that. Anytime you see Legacy, it's likely to be Melvin. I thought so. That's kind of what made me thinking, like, that's got to be Melvin. You're very welcome, Fishy. Or I almost said Fishy's Foxes. Oh, my goodness, that would have been embarrassing. Foxy's Fishes, you're very welcome. Like I say, love the shorts you do. Keep them going. They're awesome. Going through the chat here. I think we said hello to everybody. Oh, and then it just jumped, so maybe not. Let's get down to the bottom here. How about that? There we go. Yes! We're at the bottom. Sweetness. All right. So, yes, shoaling puffers. Our puffers that can live in groups here. Or something that's awesome to just talk about here because, of course, well, puffers are my fish here. But, yes, I've already forgot who brought it up. Son of a beast. But the first one, yes, we'll talk about pea puffers because, well, I think it's only fair because, well, pea puffers was the first ever puffer that I kept. And if you have not kept puffers before and are thinking about getting into puffer keeping, I've said this a couple times on my channel, and I'm about to say it again here. If you want to get into puffer keeping, get pea puffers first. They are the perfect beginner puffer. Why? They don't get that big. They, unlike a lot of other puffers out there, you don't have to worry about their teeth. They don't continuously grow, unlike some other puffers that are on this list, or like the Fahaka or Arrowhead or Dragon puffer that I mentioned earlier. So that's nice. They will still appreciate some snails and some small crustaceans because they still eat that in the wild. So if you can get that to them, they'll still appreciate it. But at the same time, still a great idea just to know that, hey, if you don't, if you're running low on snails and maybe sometimes it's hard to get a hold of them, you don't have to stress about it as much because it's not mandatory for these guys as much as it would be a lot of other puffers out there. That, and of course, I mean, as I said earlier, they don't get very big. Pea puffers, I think the biggest one that I've ever seen was just shy of 2 inches. And honestly, that is a huge pea puffer. I mean, when they say pea puffers, they're not kidding because they really only get about the size of a pea. That's about it. So, I mean, about 1 inch to 1.5 inches is about what they reach for a maximum size. I once upon a time had just 3 in a 10-gallon tank, and I had them for a little over 4 years. Also kept them inside a 20-gallon hex there for about the final 1.5 years, 2 years of when I had them. And they were perfectly fine. And out there too, they sometimes do tend to be a little bit more than nippy puffers, if you know what I mean. They like to, assert their territory or, go about their curiosity using their teeth. And while their teeth don't continuously grow like a lot of other puffers, pea puffers still have some teeth that can do some damage to some certain fish. So to be clear, I should actually mention this right here. I should have said this before we even got started. When I say shoaling puffers, this is not necessarily puffers that I recommend for, community aquariums like with other fish outside of puffers and such. I think we did a live stream that kind of touched up on that earlier, but just to be clear, this is not a stream that's exactly going in on about that. Like, these are puffers that you can do community aquariums with. But I mean, personally, I would not recommend puffers in a community aquarium. Not to say that it can't be done. I just think there's a lot of other options out there that you won't have to monitor as closely or that won't cause you as much stress. Before I keep going on pea puffers here, we got a new member here. Speaking of it earlier, Foxy's Fishies joining the pea puffer tier while we're talking about pea puffers. How great is that? Appreciate it, though, very much, though, Foxy. Welcome to the fantastic fam here and the pea puffer tier. Greatly appreciate the support here. I say, love what you do on your channel. Keep doing what you're doing. Going down here to the chat. Make sure I don't. Oh, I thought Crip was asking when I was going to make some more videos for a minute. It has been a hot minute. I haven't made videos nearly much as the rate I've been wanting to. Actual videos, that is, not including shorts and all that. But I do actually have a video that if I don't get out, I'm hoping to get a part 2 of the brackish water aquarium shindig with the green spotted puffers out to you by tomorrow. Of course, well, that's about fully edited, so honestly, it shouldn't be a problem. But keep an eye open for that while we're on the video topic. But on the shoaling puffers topic here, again, highly recommend pea puffers would be your first option. And honestly, I mean, I wasn't going to do this list in any order here, but this would be my number 1 suggestion if you're wanting a shoaling puffer. Because, I mean, especially if you're like me back in the day, I lived on an apartment. So, of course, 1, living in an apartment, 2, living on the 2nd floor of an apartment. So can't really have any big aquariums up there. But you don't need a big aquarium for them. I say 3 in a 10-gallon tank. That should work. Honestly, if you wanted to put 4 in a 10-gallon tank, that'd be probably okay too. I'd be leery about going up on that unless you put a lot of stuff on, in terms of break up the line of sight and create multiple bits of territory just like that. But I would also say that, I mean, here's the next cool thing. If you want to go crazy, like hex tanks and such. I have a video that talks about some good ideas for fish on hex tanks. Pea puffers would be a great one on that again, because again, a fish that only gets 1 inch, 1.5 inches. You can literally, I mean, PetSmart or Petco, you got a 20-gallon hex. You could probably put again, 4 or 5, maybe 6, depending on how you aquascape it in there. Pea puffers and that thing. I mean, think about that. 6 unique little fish swimming around in a space there. I mean, I guess actually it depends on the dimensions of the 20-gallon hex. I take that back. If it's a wider 20 hex, you can do it. If it's a more narrow one that's taller, then maybe stick to just 4 or 5. But because, of course, well, the main dimension about the aquariums being the footprint is we want width and length, of course, is the main thing. Height, I mean, I'm not going to say it's useless, but it's not the main thing to look at. But something like that. Little side note here before we get on to the next puffer, Liquid Rock Aquatics. Good to see you. Up to 41 subscribers now. A few more and I can stream through the app. Maybe we can hunt for Austin and Omaha someday. Hey, I'd love to run into you someday. I mean, hey, we got multiple fish stores here, and, well, I try to visit all 5 of them semi-regularly. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have my favorites overall, but at some point there. But hey, if you have not already subscribed to Liquid Rock Aquatics, Matt or Zen, if one of you could get a channel link there in the chat there so people could go subscribe, and hey, maybe we can at least get them up to 50 here before we're done here. Heard that'd be awesome. And yeah, help out Liquid Rock there, reach a milestone there. Yeah, I know. I upload videos, but I will admit, Crypt, not nearly as much as I want. When I first started this channel, actually, I was really hoping to upload 2 videos a week, and back when we were all quarantined in our houses during the COVID pandemic, that was pretty easy because, everybody was told to stay in their house and such. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty easy then when all I really could do is just stay at home or go get fish food. That made it pretty easy to get 2 videos out every week. But now that we're back to, or mostly back to normality here, I'd say, at least where I'm at, it's pretty much back to normality. So scratch any of that anyway. But well, now that I leave and go to a lot of games again, like back in normal times again, and go to the office, well, it's a little more challenging to get 2 videos out a week here. So I'm learning that 1 a week and maybe 2 shorts or so per week is, and a live stream per week is probably about a rate that, at least for a while, I'm probably going to stick around to. But just because that's a rate that I can somewhat consistently keep up with. Crypt, yes. Editing. I mean, recording, I feel like I can fly right through that. But yes, the editing, because, well, one, being a media major, I mean, yeah, I do writing, but I took a lot of video classes as well there as well. So, I mean, I don't want to just put anything out there. I want my video to look good. I want it to look good. I want it to sound good. I want it to be at least semi-entertaining and such. Hence why I also like to add sound effects too, because I think sound effects, one, it gets a little bit of attention, like, hey, what's happening? Or, also it's a little something to kind of help extra illustrate like the fishing sometimes, because sometimes these fish are silly and sometimes these fish do crazy things, and it kind of helps initiate or illustrate that a little bit deeper, But yeah, that I would agree on the same way, Crypt, that editing for me definitely is the thing that, when in terms of making actual videos, by far takes the longest. And be right back. Got to run over and get started on SteamFots member stream. I'll try to make it back shortly. If you don't have a subscriber, only on pay attention for bots. Well, usually when I get bots, I mean, we haven't had that problem too much. I'm knocking on wood there just in case, because I swear they have ears, people. They have ears. But yes, don't want to. Yeah. Hopefully we don't have a problem with bots there. We usually don't. Hopefully that trend continues. Yeah, same thing, Whip. That's where I'm at. Don't want to keep putting out videos that are shot in 1 takes and no editing. I mean, hey, if you can do it in 1 shot and make it look good, then hey, have right at it, man. But yeah, I am not one of those people. I mean, I feel like that's when people start doing videos, they feel like they need to get it in 1 shot. And to those of you out there, you definitely don't have to do that. You don't have to shoot them all in 1 shot. In fact, multiple shots is actually better, because the jump screens kind of keep your attention a lot more than just continuous gradual video. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Showing puffers. Or, of course, after the pea puffers, There's a lot of other ones to talk about there, but sticking on the freshwater here for a little while. Number 2 I'm going to talk about, it's probably at least where I'm at, the second most common to find, would be the Amazon puffer, or some of you may also know them as the South American puffer. Of course, this one, a little bit different, and definitely has some different challenges because, again, this is a puffer where you do have to worry about the teeth, and probably of all the puffers that I'm going to mention here today, Amazon puffers probably have the fastest growing teeth of anyone here on the list. They really, their teeth grow crazy. I've had to trim them already once, and the 2 of them I'm already looking at. I give them snails almost every other day here, and it's not always enough. Sometimes it just really, their teeth grow like no one's business. So that is one thing I will say that's kind of a challenge about them. But overall, it's another puffer that once they're fully done and growing, somewhere between the 4 to 6 inch range is about where they max out at. So I would say something like a 55 would be good for them. The thing about Amazon puffers, they're definitely one where I would say you want to have try to have at least no fewer than 4. I'm going to sound a little hypocritical when I say that too, because currently right now I have 2 of them in a 38-gallon tank. I used to have 4, but a couple of them got sick, and I don't know if that maybe happened. They were in the beginning stages when I got them at the store or whatever, or if there was something deep going on in the tank. Either way, lost a couple of them, and of course lost one of them there in a recent power outage there, which also kind of stunk. But alas, here we are. I got 2. I do plan to get some more someday though, but I want to get them a bigger tank first to reestablish that territory, which is a different topic. But yes, Amazon puffers are a puffer that I would say, if you can, try to get them at least group of 4. Better yet, 6 would be even more ideal. And hey, if you can do more than that even, better yet. If you can go ahead and say put 8 of them or so in a 75-gallon tank, awesome. That would be awesome for them. I would say otherwise, 4 to 6 in a 55-gallon tank would look pretty good with them as well. This is a puffer that pretty much all of them on the list here, even more so than the pea puffers. Pea puffers like to explore. I forgot to mention that earlier, but nowhere near as much as what Amazon puffers do. Amazon puffers love to explore their tank. They want lots of swim space. So, yeah, I would say if you get at least 4 up to 6, a 55-gallon would be okay. Once you get above the 6 range and such, I would say you probably want to think more about the range of a 75-gallon tank to give them a better home. I will also say something I like about the Amazon puffers, though, is this is, I said I wasn't going to talk too much about it, but touching up on it a little bit. This is a puffer that some people have had success in keeping with other fish that are not puffers themselves. Again, I don't want to talk about this so much because it is if you put puffers with other fish, I will say my main recommendation and suggestion there is make sure it's not something that has super long fins or is, super colorful, something that's not going to constantly gain the puffer's attention. So something like, I know some people try to keep rainbows in there unless you have an absolutely massive tank. Like if you put maybe 8 Amazon puffers, like say in this 240, then okay, you can maybe widen your horizons of your options a bit. But outside of that, I would still say nothing with overly long fins or colorful markings and such that's going to get their attention. That is something that personally I would dance away from because it only takes one time for that puffer to be like, ooh, you're shiny, chomp. And here's what I always say about puffers. When it comes to fish fighting, a lot of fish, it takes multiple bites to really wound another fish. For a puffer, it only takes like 1 bite, 2 at most to almost fatally wound a fish if they get them just right. And Amazon puffers are no different. While they tend to be one of the more tolerant puffers out there, they still can get territorial, very much so. So if you get Amazon puffers and are even thinking about trying them in a community tank, make sure your tank is one, aquascaped very well, where there can be multiple pieces of territory, honestly more than what you think would even be necessary, and make sure there is plenty of swim space. The Amazon puffers like to explore, so make sure you got plenty of space for them to do exactly that. Before we get on the puffer number 3 here, see we got a $10 super chat from Killer Kitty 08. Thank you very much, Killer Kitty. Greatly appreciate you for that. And all the support you give here on the channel. See you here a lot on the channel. Greatly appreciate all the support you give. Killer Kitty says, my red-eye puffers knock the ram horn snails over and eat from the bottom. Does this still help grind their teeth down? Started Dan's fake snails just in case their teeth seem fine at the moment. Well, here's the thing. My pea puffers actually used to do the same thing with big ram's horn snails. Unfortunately, it doesn't do a ton other than just basically keep their hunting aspect about them, which I still think is a good thing. I would say that if you're getting at the meat, they're still going to be grinding against that shell a little bit. But if they're not getting through the actual shell and all that, then yeah, I'd be a little preoccupied about how much it's actually filing their teeth down. But since you're getting some of the fake snails, I would say that's a good thing to kind of take an extra precaution, because if they're only eating the meat of the snail, like I say, chances are, because I mean, the puffers are going to try to get every last bit of meat out of that thing, which means they're going to grind up against that shell a little bit. But puffers are not stupid. They find ways to beat the system every once in a while. And red eyes, Amazons, my pea puffers back in the day, every once in a while, Finley does too, but now my Fahaka now, she's like 15 inches now, just shy of it, if anything. Bigger snails, she does the same thing. She'll just flip them over to where they're helpless, and she'll just get the meat. They're smart. They know how to work the system. But I would say you're taking a good precaution there, Killer Kitty. I would say that, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of teeth grinding going, but I would say it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a backup plan there, like what you're doing, to make extra sure that they are. Seems like you're right on top of it, though, Killer Kitty. I believe I saw her earlier, and I never said hello. Let's see. Yes, Brooklyn Bell saying, hey, listening with my headphones while shopping at Sam's Club. That's got to be something. Just wanted to give you a thumbs up and say thank you so much for my sticker. You're very welcome. Glad it finally got to you. Sorry it took me so long. I thought I had them I try to keep things organized, or at least that stuff organized, and for a while I just couldn't find the dang things. But yeah, glad I found them, and was very happy to finally find them so I could get them off to you. We got Vibes Aquatics also coming in here saying hello. Hello to you, Vibes. Great to see you here. Oh, boy. Oh, yes. Talk more about snail murder to me. Oh, Matt. Now all we're missing is Grant in the Garden of Eden here. I still remember that one stream. He was absolutely roasting the snails, and I loved every minute of it. Should have made sure that we didn't have a net here before I said that. I haven't seen her, though. Today's drink of choice, Code Red. Whew. Oh, excuse me. I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I'm mostly over this cold, but as you can probably tell with my voice, it is still lingering just a little bit. So if I sound like at times I get a little out of breath, that's why. But going through the chat here, see we got here. Randall, howdy. I've been thinking of getting a figure 8 puffer. Came across your channel from your care video. Awesome. Well, you know what, Randall? Since you bring that up here, we'll actually ditch the freshwater side and visit one of the brackish puffers here for a minute. Because, yes, figure 8s, I will tell you now, are easily one of my favorite shelling puffers overall. Mostly because of, one, it's another puffer that doesn't get very big. They usually max out somewhere about 3 to 4 inches overall. And, yes, obviously there is that challenge from versus freshwater to brackish water. I'll talk about that in a second here. Or, of course, you can check out my figure 8 puffer care guide, like Randall here has. And I'll talk a little bit about kind of how that works, but we'll visit that here briefly here as well. Reason I also like the figure 8s is those markings are absolutely beautiful. Dark brown, sometimes they even look black once you get them in the brackish water, and then the yellow markings. And it's another puffer that is traditionally very tolerant. You can try tank mates with them. Mine got a little aggressive. I did have some mollies in with them for a while, but they did get a little territorial with them. I thought a 54 corner would have been enough to put 3 figure-8s in with a few mollies, but turns out it wasn't. They've left the night goby alone, so I guess you can still somewhat call it a community tank. I do have a night goby in there yet with my figure-8 puffers, and he's still doing good. But at the same time, figure-8 puffers, it's another one that only gets about 3-4 inches. So I would say the figure-8s though, usually the rule of thumb is for the first figure-8, give them at least 15 gallons or so if you only do one, because it is another puffer that likes to swim around and explore its tank. So if you can give it a bigger tank there as well, they'll greatly appreciate that. They love to explore. They also really love snails. They love live feedings. Mine will take down live snails, even ghost shrimp and such for some of them. Maybe it's better that we don't have Garden of Eden. Now I'm talking about shrimp murderer, Matt. But figure-8s, I mean, they're an awesome little puffer that, again, doesn't require a big tank. So those of y'all that maybe don't have a whole lot of space, figure-8s could be another great option there. But yes, obviously the elephant in the room with them, as well as another puffer that I'll talk about here before we end this stream here. Figure-8 puffers, are they a freshwater or a brackish? Short answer, I guess you could technically say both. How is that possible? Well, in the wild, they're native to different parts of Asia, of course. And of course, one of the rivers, they swim through rivers as well as the South China Sea, as well as some other salty bodies of water down there. Well, here's the thing. Those rivers, of course, just like the Mississippi River and the Gulf of Mexico here in America, they drain in to those gulfs, and the water doesn't just jump from totally fresh water to complete salinity. It gradually increases, and that's how you get the brackish water, and also how these fish can tolerate some saltier parameters of water versus some more on the fresh side to completely on the fresh side. So that is why a lot of reasons why, you'll see fish stores go ahead and sell figure-8 puffers as well as green spotted puffers. And I lost my train of thought. Oh, yes. Green spots and figure-8 puffers at fish stores sold and freshwater aquariums. And yes, is it better to put them in brackish water at some point? Yes. But can they live in freshwater for a while? Also, yes. In the end, I would say if you get them in freshwater, it's a good time that before you get them, though, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and do your homework on, okay, how can I set up a brackish water aquarium? And, maybe how big of aquarium can I give them? Because if you haven't got it yet, it may not be a bad idea to go ahead and bump up and try to get them a bigger tank. Because, hey, my saying always is, don't give your fish a tank just where they're going to survive. Give them a tank where they're going to thrive. That's how you get the best color, best attitude out of your fish. And that especially goes with puffers, especially with groups of puffers. And figure-8s are no different. All right, going through the chat here. I believe saw a couple from you, Randall. I'll get to you in just a minute. Liquid Walk Aquatics. Put $5 in a. Oh, wait a minute. That was Crip saying that earlier. I must have missed it. Did I miss something up here earlier? Maybe not. Hey, Randall, I see you got another one here. I have a 65 tank that I was considering converting, but I also have an unused 45-gallon frag tank. It's all like a foot tall but 4 feet long. The 65 is more of a tall tank. Well, I guess, Randall, that would also depend on the width and length of that 65-gallon tank. I would say if it's with the figure-8 puffers, I would say I would traditionally like to get them somewhere that's between the 3 to 4 foot range of some space. But if it has a good deal of width as well, then, well, that's all right too. Because, I mean, the main thing is to give them a good footprint to swim around it. Because the thing is, fish swim side to side, and they can go in a more circular motion too if that gives them more an area. But they're not going to swim vertically, of course. So that's why sometimes I say with column tanks, they can be awesome when you have them, but you also got to be a little strategic on how you stock them too. Going down here. But I would say for 1 foot, I mean, puffers don't get overly tall. I would still say, though, if it's only a foot tall, you could probably get away with it, but at the same time, depending on how many figure 8 puffers you have, might have even mentioned that earlier. Checking through the chat here to make sure about getting a figure 8 puffer. Well, if you have a figure 8 puffer, a 45 would be plenty for it. And absolutely. So I would definitely, but if you get multiple ones, and honestly, I would also say this, Randall, it's not mandatory with figure 8 puffers, but I have learned a lot of people that get solo figure 8 puffers then would like some tank mates. A lot of people, I'm trying to think of another channel that has a figure 8 puffer named Butterbean, and I can't remember the name of the channel that has that little puffer, or had the little puffer, one of the two. But it's one of those two. But either way, it was something like that. I would definitely say, though, maybe consider also getting that figure 8 puffer, maybe some more of its kind, because it does like to live in groups here, because in the wild, that's how they're more comfortable, is like living in shoals. A lot of people say you got to have at least 6. That's not true. Or, I mean, is it good to give them, if you can give them 6, would it be great if you could give them 6? Absolutely. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but do you absolutely have to do it? Is it absolutely mandatory? No. If you give them at least 3 or 4, I would say things are probably going to be all right. My Fish Tank Squad, it was your video on hex tanks that convinced me to get a 25-gallon hex. Hey, greatly appreciate. I mean, yeah, like I say, I like hex tanks. I think they, I understand why some people, don't care for them a whole lot. But I also feel like, you know what? Hey, they can still be really, really cool. Like, well, I mean, taking my camera here for a minute. I mean, sitting right above the laptop here. I mean, I'm kind of using this as I put a tabletop on top of my 75-gallon hex here. And I tell you what, I got to get that thing resealed someday. But resealing a hex tank is a much different animal versus sealing a normal rectangular tank, or even a square tank, at that matter. Resealing hex tanks are not easy. But someday I plan to reseal, because I really want to put some pea puffers in this thing someday, guys. I think a 75-gallon tank with pea puffers, that would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. So let's see. We've talked about pea puffers. There's been Amazon puffers. And now we've talked about figure 8 puffers. We're going to go back on the freshwater side here real quick. But probably the most expensive puffer on this list, but arguably the coolest, spotted Congo puffers. Now, this is one that I will say gets a little bit on the bigger side here. Spotted Congo puffers, again, it's one that can get about the 6-inch range before it's all done growing. Sometimes it can surpass a little bit, but usually that's 6 inches is about, give or take, where they reach before they're done fully growing. The problem with them is they have a bit of a hefty price tag. Somewhere here, I mean, of course, I live here in Western Iowa. I traditionally see them go for, give or take, about $200 or so per puffer. So obviously that adds up very, very quickly. So, I mean, hey, if you got $1,000 or something, I know that's nobody here in this chat, right? But theoretically, if you had $1,000, you could talk about, go ahead and put them, like, I'd say you could put easily 4 to 6 of them in a 75-gallon tank. Or, maybe you want to go big and maybe you get something like a 125. I would say 6 or so could easily go in there. And I mean, hey, spotted Congo puffers, there are some videos about them about how to breed them. And especially considering the price tag, in which I just told you guys, just think about that for a minute. If you could find a way to get those spotted Congo puffers to breed, and if it's a little project that you kind of want to learn about, maybe take on, and be a quick way to make a lot of extra money on the side there. Puffers while they are egg scatterers, they're traditionally good parents, but I personally don't have any personal breeding knowledge of my own, because I haven't personally bred any of my puffers in the past here. Sadly, I just have not had the time. Someday I'm sure I'll get to it, though, or at least give her a shot. But I would say spotted Congo puffers, it's another one that sometimes is done in groups as well there. Believe Steam Fod Aquatics tried it before. I want to say Aquarium Co-op even had a few videos about spotted Congo puffers too, even talking about them and having them in community aquariums as well. Highly recommend you go check that out as well. I have a couple of videos on them as well. Unfortunately, both of mine kind of went suddenly in tragic ways there. I definitely plan to get some spotted Congo puffers, though, back in my fish room here, though, someday. Let's see, Whips World, and I also see Lava Rock. Good Lord. Whips World and Liquid Rock Aquatics talking about a hairy puffer or humpback puffer. Well, since you both were talking about a hairy puffer, first and foremost, no, I would not recommend them putting multiple specimens in one tank, unless you have a tank divider, that is. But hairy puffers are cool. They kind of got that little unique thing. I mean, of course, the little deals on their face that kind of make it look like a beard almost. They are cool. They're one of those ambush puffers out there. So I will say that it's a puffer that doesn't tend to move a lot. There are exceptions though. My hairy puffer, when I had him, didn't mind exploring every once in a while. But traditionally, hairy puffers, even dragon puffers at that, are a puffer that kind of like to bury themselves in the sand. So one, if you did get a hairy puffer, I would recommend highly a sandy substrate, and the finer the grain of the sand, the better. Honestly, sometimes if you go to certain stores, pool filter sand would be amazing. I also have used play sand, and it does the job as well. But a fine grain of sand, because they do love to bury themselves, reason being, in the wild, they'll bury themselves in the sand there and poke their little eyes out to keep an eye open for unsuspecting prey to swim above them, and if it swims down too close to where the puffer is burrowed, wham, dinner is served. So that's a big reason. Also, if you get them in a tank, not just sand, but for my arrowhead puffer, who's also an ambush puffer, I have my sand there about 2 inches thick or so. So honestly, actually, it might even be more like 2.5 inches, honestly. But I mean, it's not a bad idea to go a little deeper on the substrate for those guys because they do like to dig. Hence, though, it'd be difficult to keep live plants with them, unless you do like floating plants, which then in that case, probably have no problem with that. But hairy puffers are really cool. I would say out of the two, though, I kind of like a dragon puffer. Dragon puffers get a little bit bigger than hairy puffers, though. Hairy puffers they're another one that usually about the 4 to 6 inches range. Dragon puffers can somewhere get around 6 to 8 inch range. So you're talking about a puffer that gets a little bit towards the bigger side. Yeah, liquid rock, that is true. You could put the pots in plants too. That's one way to keep them from digging them up. That's actually a great idea there as well. But dragon puffers are one that get a little bit bigger, but still, when I had my dragon puffer for a couple years, I just kept him in a 40-gallon breeder, and that turned out to be plenty of space for him. Or if you want to bump it up and give your dragon puffer a little bit more space, again, dragon puffers, sometimes they like to explore. Sometimes they just like to bury themselves and just find their safe spot in the tank and just chill. But if you want to bump it up there, I would say a 60 breeder wouldn't be bad for a dragon puffer either. But regardless if you get a hairy puffer or a dragon puffer, both really, really love their live feedings. Crayfish, shrimp, snails, or even live fish, whether it be feeder guppies. I see Chattanooga Ed coming in here as well. So I'm talking about feeder guppies. I feel like Ed is cringing as I say that. But otherwise, minnows and such would be another option for them that I gave my dragon puffer a lot. Either way, they really like their live feeding. So definitely recommend checking that out there. But highly recommend them both. They're really cool there. I will say that sometimes, though, they are a pickier fish to feed and such. Because like I say, they sometimes it's hard to get them out of that live feeding stage. Sometimes all they want is live feeding. Something you can do, though, or something that I've kind of done to train my arrowhead puffer, get you some metal tongs and, like, for example, frozen krill, just kind of wiggle it around in front of them to kind of stimulate that it's alive, and it'll sometimes still give them a little bit of that thrill of the hunt. But highly recommend it both for a hairy puffer or a dragon puffer. Both are really cool. But I guess if I had to pick one, I would say a dragon puffer would be my favorite out of the two, just because I feel like it has some better coloration markings. Both are really cool, though. Speaking of the man, though, earlier, though, yes, we got Chattanooga Ed here. And he did indeed keep a dragon puffer once upon a time, as a matter of fact. Kept him in a 40, and she was very happy. Absolutely. And I mean, hey, a 40 is plenty for a dragon puffer, honestly. But I mean, again, like I say, a 60 breeder wouldn't hurt either. But yeah, I mean, a 40 breeder, that would be plenty. If that's what you can fit, if that's what you got for your dragon puffer, a 40, there's no problem with that whatsoever. All right, so we've talked about 4 puffers here. I unfortunately can't go too late on the stream because, well, today I'm technically taking a little break off of work because, well, Thanksgiving holiday is working around. So a little fun fact, how a newspaper person gets their holidays and such while still getting a paper out on Thanksgiving. Well, we try to do like a day and a half's work or 2 days work in 1 day. So today we're finishing up Tuesday's paper as well as getting a head start, if not totally finishing Wednesday's paper. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll be finishing up Wednesday's paper, whatever we didn't finish up, as well as work on Thanksgiving's paper. And, well, you get the pattern. And then, of course, that way on Thanksgiving and hopefully Black Friday itself, or maybe even that Saturday, we can have, some time off to spend with our families and such. So, unfortunately, I can't go super long on this stream because I do have some work to do there as well. But I do have one more puffer here. Well, actually 2 more. We'll talk about 2 more here real quick. And, of course, one of them being a puffer that will be featured in one of my videos here very soon. It should be out here either tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest, probably more tomorrow. But green spotted puffers. It's another puffer, though, and obviously the brackish freshwater debate. We already talked about that here. But this is another one, though, I would say, even versus the figure 8, is more highly recommended to put in brackish water. In fact, figure 8 or green spotted puffers can actually even go all the way to full-on marine water. So can figure 8 puffers too, honestly. But big green spotted puffers. I keep wanting to say figure green puffers. I need to quit that. But green spotted puffers, it's another puffer that I think has absolutely beautiful markings. This is another one, though, that can be a little bit on the temperamental side. So this would be one of the shoaling puffers I would not recommend as much for community aquariums. The fact that they're also a brackish water aquarium probably also lessens that even more. But this is also one of the puffers that get a little bit bigger on the list. It's another one that maxes somewhere between that 4-ish to 6-inch. They usually don't get too close to the 6-inch range, but they can. It has been possible range, but somewhere around that range is about where they max out, 4 to 6 inches. And so I have my 5 green spotted puffers in a 75-gallon tank. Kept them in a 20-gallon long for a while as a grow-out tank when they were in freshwater. And that is the cool thing about them. They can go in freshwater for a while. For me, just timetable to any of you that are curious, my green spotted puffers were in freshwater for a little over 1.5 years, honestly. It might have been even closer to 2 years. So they can live in freshwater for a while before you move them over. So don't feel like you have to hurry, but just have a plan in place, But I see Liquid Rock there. I'll get to that in a minute. But I mean, green spotted puffers are another one. Like I say, a little bit on the temperamental side. So other tank mates that are not puffers, probably not the best idea. It still can be done. There have been people that have had success doing it. But the fact that they get bigger, and they're another puffer that, kind of like the Amazons, really like to explore their aquarium. So the more swim space that you can grant them, the happier your puffer is going to be. They also are one that I will say can get very bored if they don't have a varied diet. I mean, all the other puffers can too, but green spotted puffers especially, I have learned, they really make me mix up their diet. So every once in a while, I'll throw them some beef heart. Sometimes I'll give them some brine shrimp or some bloodworms. Sometimes I'll even go ahead and give them some krill and such, live snails, of course, and sometimes even some live shrimp and such. The more varied of a diet you give these guys, the happier they're going to be, because at least in my experience, maybe I got a wacky bunch here, which is very possible. But I have learned that with green spotted puffers, they will really push for a varied diet. If you give them like bloodworms or beef heart or whatever it is you're giving them, if you give it to them too many times in a row, they're going to start pouting, and they might go on what I like to call little hunger strikes. And it can really freak you out once in a while, because sometimes if your fish don't eat, you sometimes wonder, oh shoot, are my fish sick? Is there something going on in the water? And there's been times where, you test the water and like, nope, everything's fine. which of course then you maybe check for internal parasites or treat just to be safe, which is nothing wrong there. But just something on a side note there to those of you that maybe you're thinking about green spotted puffers, or really puffers in general, because any puffer has been known to do it once in a while. My Fahaka puffer Finley does it a lot too sometimes. Sometimes it's not even if I give her a bunch of fish or food in a row. Sometimes she's just like, nah, I'm not feeling krill. I want snails. Sometimes green spotted puffers will do that. So the wider range of diet you can give them, the better. See, we got Ray Aquatics joining us here this evening. How's it going? And Ray, Chattanooga Ed also saying hello as well there. Yep, Robert Ray, great to see you here. Another awesome member there. See here quite frequently on the Monday Musings stream here. Always appreciate your company here. Going down here, let's see. Liquid Rock, why not call figure eight puffers 8 balls? Not a cocaine reference. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I haven't called them that every once in a while, but they are, they do kind of have that. I mean, they have that little 8 shape on there, hence why they're called figure eights. I mean, the fact that they also have the black backs with that little figure 8 on their back, I mean, I see it. 8 ball puffers. Honestly, that kind of sounds cooler than figure 8. Well, figure 8 sounds cool too, but I don't know. I kind of like it. Yeah, Randall, cocaine fishies. Okay, so the 65 gallon that you were talking about earlier, 22 inches tall, 17.5 inches in depth, and 3 feet wide. And I would say, Randall, without even looking at the 45 frag tank, that's a pretty good tank to have green, or not green spotted. You said figure 8s, figure 8 puffers in. That would be a really good one to have there. I mean, 3 feet, I think, is a good one. That's about what I have on my 54-gallon corner as well. Of course, since mine's a corner, mine doesn't have that width all the way around. But I would say out of those two, I would recommend the 65-gallon to you, Randall. That's my suggestion. That way, I mean, hey, if you want to like maybe find some other figure 8s to throw in there with that one figure 8, boom, have at it. That or you can make one killer aquascape too. All right, so there's a lot of other shoaling puffers on here. I feel like I'm definitely going to miss some here, but of course there's the golden puffer, or they're also known as avocado puffers. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about those, and the reason being, guys, I've never kept one. I've heard they're kind of similar to Amazon puffers. They grow about the same length. They're another puffer that likes to explore the tank, but I've never kept them, so I don't want to say something and be totally off here. But one puffer I will talk about here that also kind of likes to live in groups, of course, is red-eye puffers. Of course, I got a couple of them. They're still in the 20-gallon long, or not 20-gallon long. They used to be in a 20-gallon long, but they're now in a 20-gallon hex aquarium. And this is another puffer that, yeah, can live in tank with groups of them. This is also one, though, I would say that if you don't want to, they don't mind living alone compared to some of the other ones. I would still definitely say that if you have a bigger tank, though, then it's better. But if it's a smaller tank, then they don't mind so much if they're being kept solitary. But something like that. I see a liquid rock. I'll get to you in just a minute there. But I would say red-eye puffers, that's another one that I really like there. You still kind of have to watch their teeth, but it is one that I would say of all the puffers out there where you still have to worry about the teeth, red-eye puffers still have one of the slower growing teeth out there. So honestly, if you go ahead and give them snails every once in a while, then usually you're going to be on top of those teeth there. But I mean, hey, regardless of the type of the puffer, the more that you can give them those hard shell stuff and crustaceans, the better you're going to be. Because I mean, then the less you got to worry about it or watch for it. And that's any puffer, not just red-eye puffers. But they're one that I would say that I said earlier that pea puffers are the #1 starter puffer. I would go ahead and say that if you want, red-eye puffers would probably be, if you want to take that next step, but are maybe still a little leery of doing something like a figure 8 or an Amazon or maybe one of the bigger puffers like a dragon, arrowhead, hairy, or Fahaka puffer, then I would say find you some red-eye puffers. The only problem is red-eye puffers can be a little tricky to find, but they're usually not overly expensive. I got mine for about $20-25 a piece there, so not horrible, but it can add up pretty quickly depending on how many you get. And of course, that varies depending on where you live, though, of course. But I would definitely say that red-eye puffers are another great one that if you're still kind of on the beginning edge of puffer keeping, maybe not a bad one to get there as well, especially if you're looking to get on the, take the next step from pea puffers. Liquid Rock Aquatics. What are redline puffers? Fish Fix has them for $1,500 a piece. To be honest with you, Liquid Rock, that's not a bad rate. That's about in the range of what they averagely go, especially if they have the spotted patterns. It's theorized. I don't know if it's 100% true, but it's said that if you get a cross-river puffer that has spots, supposedly it's a female, versus if you get one that has like more of the reddish lines, kind of like what I had with Cypher, then supposedly it's a male. Again, that's not been proven absolutely true. I think it's kind of just a theory going around that I've heard about them. But I will definitely say that out of the two, I would definitely prefer the spotted ones though too, because the cross river puffers that have the striped patterns, they almost just look a little bit like an off-color Fahaka, really. And that, I don't know, that's kind of the only difference. Their stripes are just a little darker, if you know what I mean. But they sometimes will get a few spots in them, but the spots aren't very visible is my only complaint about them. They're still beautiful, don't get me wrong. But I would say that, yes, $1,500 for a cross river puffer Liquid Rock is very on point for what the average of a cross river or redline puffer, technically the same thing, about what they go for. That's about the norm for them. They're not easy to find. There's a reason they're called the crown jewel of freshwater puffers. Let's see, Ricky De Hoyo saying hello. Hello to you, Ricky. Great to see you here. Another frequent visitor here that always love to see. Ray Aquatics. What about Amazons? We did talk about Amazons here earlier. I'll go over it a little bit more, but yeah, I'd say Amazons are a great shoaling puffer to go with as well there. People have had success keeping them in community aquariums as well, but again, I'm just not going to go too deep into that because honestly, I feel like that's a totally different live stream topic that we could go on because there's just so many exponents and variables that play into that. But I would say Amazons are probably my second favorite shoaling puffer because in terms of living amongst each other, Amazon puffer on Amazon puffer, it's usually pretty one of the puffers that I've seen the most success with, not just with me, but a lot of others out there. It's definitely a puffer, though, that I would say if you can get a bigger tank, too, it's not a bad idea, Robert. It's a good idea if you can get not a figure eight. Geez, I'm just tripping all over the place here today, guys. But Amazon puffers, I would say, I have 2 and a 38. I plan to upgrade them to a 55 down the road here before too much time passes. I don't exactly have a timetable on it, but before too much time passes, like I say. And at some point, plan to get them and an upgrade because they are a puffer that really likes to swim around and explore. It's almost like a tetra with a puffer. They can really zip around the tank and they love to explore. So definitely recommend getting them a bigger tank there as well. I would say if a 55, you could probably do somewhere between 4 to 6 there probably. Otherwise, if you want to get on the bigger side there, maybe do like a 75 or something, then you could do somewhere about 6 to 8 maybe. Of course, also depends on how much aquascape you do because you just don't want to leave the tank wide open where they all see each other because they are going to get a little temperamental once in a while because if you have 6 or 8 puffers, chances are you're going to have some males mixed with females in there. So you got to take that into account and make sure that these puffers have their own bits of territory to not just call their own, but get away from each other. Mountain Greenery saying hello, everyone. Hello to you, Greenery. Great to see you here. Her vibes, yes. I am already thinking about that Thanksgiving food. And ladies and gentlemen, here comes the part of the stream where we talk about food all the time. Who's all getting hungry for Thanksgiving? Hey, the turkey. I mean, hey, at my Thanksgiving feast, we have turkey and ham, which is a winner across the board for me. I love both turkey and ham. I'm probably going to be taking a Thanksgiving nap after, regardless of what I eat. But the I love the mashed potatoes and gravy. I'm going to probably get criticized for this, but never been a huge stuffing person. But yes, mashed potatoes, gravy. I got to have dinner rolls on Thanksgiving, and got to have me some beans of some sort, probably like the green bean, cardin beans or something like that. I absolutely love it. But yep, Whip, you sound just like me. Give me a mountain of mashed potatoes and gravy with my turkey and ham, and I'm ready to go, man. Maybe a little bit of a salad on the side there too, but oh man, I can't think about this too much days. This is still days away, guys. I'm waiting for Zen to pop back in here and start talking about Christmas at some point here. Although I can't criticize Christmas too much because one of the Omaha radio stations here is already playing Christmas music. And I'd be lying if I said I haven't tuned in to listen to it a couple times here already. So there's that. But yeah, something like that. Yes, Liquid Rock. Historically, Thanksgiving was the last big feast to fatten everyone up so they'd survive the winter. I mean, hey, I still kind of do that, right? The winters get cold here in Western Iowa. As cold as the winters get here, yeah, in Western Iowa, yeah, I'm all about getting that food up. I put on a couple extra pounds here to help keep myself warm over the cold winter months to come. It's like water. Oh man. I presume then that you're talking about that it gets very thin. Well, yeah, I'm not a person that wants my gravy super, super thick. I think there's a point of thickness to put it on. But it's I don't know. I could say something here, but I'm not going to. It's like I could talk about how I like the thickness of my gravy compared to something else here, but I'm not going to. I feel like that could get me in a world of trouble here, especially with Mrs. Fantastic watching. So we won't go down that road. All I'll say is I don't mind my gravy being a little bit more on the thicker side. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. Let's see. Going through the chat here, make sure I don't forget anybody here. Oh goodness, that red. Oh, I know what you're talking about, and I'm not sorry for it. Let's roll step in there and help her out, Ed. I'm with you. Just say, hey, you're lighting her load and taking over the gravy duties. Hey, there you go. Oh, and it's a perfect deal. Go ahead, go forth, make it seem like that. Yeah, you're going forth, taking a little bit of weight off your mother's shoulders on the Thanksgiving dinner, which I'm sure she'd appreciate too. And yeah, there you go, just like that. It seems like you're doing a great deed when in the end, you're making the gravy how you want it. Everybody wins. Let's see here. We talked about red-eye puffers. We talked about spotted Congos, Amazons, pea puffers, figure eights, and green spotteds. Sitting here trying to think if there's any of them that I missed out here. Mr. Snail Guardians checking in here, saying snailing it as usual. Absolutely great to see her, Nick, as always. Glad that you're coming in here to snail it, as always. I think, though, yeah, I think we got all the Shoaling puffers in here, though, guys. I'm sitting here making absolutely sure. I mean, I guess if you have the tank the size of a lake, Maboo puffers at times have been able to live together, but at the same time, I mean, like I say, you're talking about a puffer that gets about 3 feet here. So obviously, I don't think many of us are going to have the capability of really doing that. So I don't think there's much point about really talking about Maboo puffers together. But because I mean, honestly, in order for it to work, you need, like I say, I feel like you'd almost need a tank the size of a lake, and a big lake at that. to pull that off there. So I think overall that amazingly covers the shoaling puffers there. I mean, I would say ranking them all, number one, definitely say the pea puffers. They're small. You don't have to worry about the teeth. It's a perfect beginner puffer, and it's a perfect puffer to those of you that maybe are a little bit borrowed for space and can't get that big of a tank. Versus number two, I would say the red eye puffer. They're a little bit more on the harder side to find, but they're still an awesome puffer that, again, doesn't get too big. So, hey, if you're crammed for space, doesn't need that big of a tank. That, I mean, hey, the red eyes and their markings and all that, they are a pretty cool puffer. Number three, I would say, have to be the Amazon puffer. Really like them. True freshwater puffer. I say the only downside, and probably the reason why I put them behind red eye puffers even, is that they have the fastest growing teeth of anybody on this list in terms of the puffers. So that's another thing there. And number four, I would say, is the figure 8 puffers. It's a puffer that, again, doesn't get very big. Love their markings. Just another one that people have had success keeping in some community tanks if you want to try that risk. But again, of course, the brackish versus freshwater aspect does add a little bit of a challenge to it. Hence why they're at number 4. Number 5, I would say the spotted Congo puffers, just because, and the main reason why is just because such a big price tag on them. Then they do get a little bit bigger than a lot of the other freshwater puffers here on the list. So there's that as well. But they're still a really cool puffer. Beautiful markings, red, or not reds, but yellows rather, whites, and the black spots, of course. Spotted Congos are absolutely beautiful. It's too bad that they just cost so dang much. And then, of course, the green spotted puffers, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a puffer that, again, has that brackish aspect to them. And just that alone, and the fact that they are probably one of the more temperamental puffers of any of them on this list here, is just probably the reason why I like them. But it's probably one that, out of all of them I listed here, maybe has a little bit more challenge to them than all the rest that we mentioned here. Our Ricky De Hoyos. What temp for a pea puffer? I have definitely learned they like the higher 70s to lower 80s. So the kind of towards the higher end on the tropical water spectrum there, Ricky, is what I learned does them best. Chattanooga Ed, let's see. Do any of your puffers grind their teeth on rocks? I heard some puffers do that. My Arrowhead puffer does that occasionally. He likes to chew on his little decoration, though. The only problem is it's not exactly around. It's not exactly a rock. I have kept rocks in there with him before, though. And yeah, every once in a while, Ed, he'll chew on those. Not all puffers do it. I wish some more of mine would. But every once in a while, puffers will do that. And yeah, to go with Ricky's question there, yeah, 81, that's a pretty good temperature. Like I said, the higher 70s towards the lower 80s. 81 is a good temperature to keep your pea puffers at there. That's usually a number that usually treats them well. Let's see here. Oh, my goodness. It is 6:20 already. Jiminy Christmas. See, we've done a minute, or not a minute. Wow. An hour 8. I'm tripping on everything here today, guys. Goodness gracious. I think we pretty much covered most. Hey, here, 6:21, and I see I got a couple messages here. Yes, and I noticed that a couple of those messages are from my newspaper saying, and not to rush, but please don't forget the sport pages because I am laying out tonight. But Whip's World, yes, you are right on top of it. The Dragon Puffer and Hairy Puffers are not shoaling puffers, no. They are a puffer that, honestly, well, I know Bob Kaler kept a couple of Dragon Puffers in the same tank, but I know for the longest time he had a divider. I can't remember if he ever got rid of that divider or not, but traditionally, no. Hairy Puffers and Dragon Puffers are traditionally a puffer that I would personally highly recommend be kept solitary or by itself. Unfortunately, no, not a shoaling puffer at all, Whip, unfortunately. I wish, because I would love to keep multiple Dragon Puffers in one tank, but unless you have a divider, I would not recommend it. Well, guys, unfortunately, I got to go ahead and still do some work here tonight in terms of newspaper work and such. So unfortunately, guys and ladies, I got to bounce here. Appreciate every single one of y'all spending some time here and joining us here on this stream here, despite doing it a week later than I hoped so. Gonna have another topic for you guys next week here. Looking forward to talking about that. What it will be, well, you have to sit back and wait and find out here, of course. But big thank you to all of you guys here for watching. Hope you also enjoyed the shed aquarium visit that I had out here earlier. Appreciate every single one of y'all. Hope you all have an awesome Thanksgiving. Thank you for watching here. An extra thank you to the members here. And of course, a big thank you to the moderators, my wife, Mrs. Freak, and of course, Matt, aka Liquid Zoo, and the Zen Ginger, my 3 awesome moderators. An extra thank you to all of y'all. And I will see you all in an upcoming video. I should have another video out for you guys, if not tomorrow, by Wednesday. Until then, take care, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Stay fantastic.